All right. So for those of you who are just watching this online, welcome to this Yin Yoga session. And welcome to everyone who's here in person, virtually in person. So tonight we are going to practice Yin Yoga, and we're going to practice a earth-based Yin Yoga class. And I'll explain a little bit about that as we go along. But before we start, I want to make sure that you've got the props that you need for today. So a yoga mat or a towel, like hanging on the floor, right? And then a blanket and a bolster, which is kind of like this, or a pillow. If you haven't got any bolsters, then a pillow will do, or a couple of pillows or cushions or something like that. And then I've got blocks that look like this, but if you don't have blocks, you can also use like tin cans or books or something. So if you haven't got those props with you and beside your mat, you might want to go and grab hold of those now. And by the time you come back, I will have finished like a little bit of introduction stuff, so you won't miss any of the class. But yeah, just grab hold of those props if you haven't got them already. But I'm hoping that you all have, because I sent the little thing to say, can you prepare with all that stuff? So I'm going to give a little bit of an introduction about Yin Yoga and what Yin Yoga is all about, and then talk about the earth practice itself, and then we'll get into the practice. So for those of you who haven't practiced Yin Yoga before, I just want to explain that it is a coming together of the Indian asana, the Indian postures of yoga, with the tradition of Chinese medicine. So the theory of Chinese medicine. So if you've ever been for acupuncture or had reflexology on your feet or anything like that, where they poke you in the hand but tell you that's for your spleen, or they poke you somewhere and tell you it's for a different part of your body, right? So the way that they explain this in traditional Chinese medicine is that these are meridians and they're lines that run across the body. So in Yin Yoga, we get into postures to create sensation in these areas of the body known as the meridians. So tonight in the earth practice, so the reason I'm doing earth practice tonight is because I need some earth practice, right? Some grounding, some being centered. And I think all of us in this moment of the world could do with a little more earthing, yeah? A little bit more feeling connected and sort of feet kind of stuck to the floor rather than kind of, life is crazy. So that's why I chose to do earth practice tonight. But the two energy lines that are connected with the earth element are the spleen and the stomach. So both of these energy lines run up the front of the body. And so we're going to do a lot of work opening up the front of the body, and also doing some, how would you say, like widening out of the front part of the body. So I'm going to show you a picture because I think that would be super helpful. So this is my teacher, and if you just look at the screen now, you can see that's where the spleen meridian is running up the front side of the body. Sarah, I'm not sure how I'm going to go showing that to you. I'm going to try. Yeah. And then the stomach meridian also running up the front side of the body. Trying for a little bit of action there. Yeah. And here's a view for you, Sarah. Running up the front side of the body. Yeah, so we're going to get into a bunch of postures that that open up this part of the body for us tonight. Now, Yin Yoga is a very passive form of yoga. in our next moments together, we'll probably do like, I don't know, 6 or 7 poses, depending on how long we stay in the posture. And the 3 principles of Yin Yoga are stillness, time, and the relaxation of muscles. So I'll demonstrate the posture so you can watch me get into the posture. Then you get into the posture yourself. And then we become still. So you come into stillness, and then we wait until I let you know that it's time to move out of the posture. And we disengage muscle while we're in the posture because we want to access our fascia. So our fascia is our connective tissue. And so that's what we're looking to access through this practice. So that's by way of explanation. And if somebody has any question for me during the practice, or something's not going okay for you or whatever, rather than unmuting and saying something, because we want to make sure that everyone can go as deep into the practice as they like, you have a chat function on Zoom. So my preference would be that you use the chat function to ask me a question. And I've got my chat function open. So after I've demonstrated the posture, I will come back and sit in front of the computer, so that if you have something that you want to ask me, you can just do it in the chat function, like just typing, so that we don't disturb the practice of others. All right. A bit more explanation when it's the first session, right? Especially around logistics and stuff like that. But anyway, let's get into the practice, huh? So I'm going to move back to my mats now and adjust my computer screen so that you can correctly see my mats. And also, I just need to plug Sarah on the phone because her battery is running. It must be eating lots of battery power. So just let me plug in Sarah, adjust this, and you guys sort yourself out, and won't be long. And if you created yourself a playlist, now would be the time to kind of start your music if you would like. All right, so I've got Sarah plugged in now, and I'm going to take my bolster and head over to my mat. So I've got my mats tonight just set up in a T formation, just because sometimes I might demo here to the side and sometimes towards the front, so that you can get the best view, but you of course only need one mat if you go through the T formation. So we're going to start this morning with, we're going to start the session this evening with a wide-kneed child's pose. So if you can sit with your big toes touching and your knees nice and wide out to the side. And as much as possible, try to keep the butt connected with the heels, and then bringing the body forward, arms really nice and wide so there's lots of space, and then allowing the belly and the heart center to drop down towards the mat. Now, for those of you who have any kind of issue with your ankle, you can roll your blanket and pop your blanket underneath your ankle, because you don't want to experience any uncomfortable sensation in the ankle. So you could do that. If you have any challenges with your knees, you could put the rolled up blanket here in the knee, behind the knees, so that that decreases the sensation on the knees. And the other variation would be, if there's any problem with your neck, you might like to lower the head onto the blanket. So you pop yourself into the variation of the posture that serves you. Big toes touching, knees nice and wide, stretching these hands forward and allowing that torso to float on down to the earth. So once you're in your position, you just come to a position of stillness. Closing your eyes. And sometimes when we close our eyes, we actually don't really close our eyes. We just put the lids down. Notice if you can really relax the muscles around the eyes. And then notice what's happening with your jaw and release your jaw. Hold a lot of tension in the jaw. So just release the jaw. And now bring your awareness down to your heart center. And just notice that space, the space of your heart. Just notice what's happening there and maybe bring a sense of stillness to your heart space at this moment. And then drop your awareness down to your belly, the space between your belly button and your pubic bone, so your lower belly. And just release through this part of the body. Allow the belly to be loose. And now bringing all your awareness to your breath. So noticing your inhale and your exhale. And if your breath is a bit short and sharp at this point of time, just increase and lengthen the depth of your breath. So feel your breath all the way down in your belly. Feel the expansion of the belly. Feel the expansion of the chest and up into those shoulder blades, collarbones, sorry. And then feel your exhale. Collarbones, heart space, belly. And let's just take a few breaths, fully inhaling right down into that belly and completely exhaling. And in this moment, just staying with the breath and surrendering to the earth. And now from here, on your next exhale, just walk those hands back towards your body, bringing the upper body up. And you want to take a moment to experience the sensations that you've just awoken in the body. So just sitting around and bringing the legs to the front, resting back on the hands. keeping the eyes closed if you can. In between each yin posture, we just take a rebound, allowing any sensations to arise that we might have just shifted during that asana or that posture. Just notice sensation. Nothing to do here. Just notice. Beautiful. Now we're going to come into our next posture, which is called frog. So if you are familiar with doing yin yoga for me and you know, with me and you know what your frog looks like, you can just hop on into your frog. But if you're new to yin and you want a little bit of a demo, feel free to watch the demo of frog. So I like to use my blanket for frog underneath one of my knees. So I'm going to have this one knee on the mat and my other knee on my blanket. I'm going to open out my legs like a frog, and my feet are going to be turned outwards, if that's possible for you. If it doesn't feel good for you to pop your feet out, it's okay for them to be in, yeah? And then I'm going to bring my upper body down as well and come into this position where I'm feeling the expansion of my inner thigh quite significantly, yeah? Now, the reason why I've got my knee on the blanket is because over time, as I release in this posture, that knee has an opportunity to slide out a little more. If this doesn't feel safe for you today, if it doesn't feel safe, yeah, listen to your body. Grab your pillow or your bolster and pop it underneath your body. But it does become more of a restorative pose rather than a yin posture if you use your bolster. Because in yin, we want to open up through this fascia. But your choice, yeah? Your body. So when you're ready, coming into this posture of frog. Take your time. When you come into a yin yoga posture, you want to feel at about 70% rather than at 90% or 100% at the start of the posture, because you want to allow yourself over time to continue to open up. So once you've found your frog, coming to stillness, and in your yin yoga, we want to notice the difference between sensations. So we want to feel broad, generalized sensations over a larger area, surface area of the body. So in particular in this posture, through the inner leg. But if you feel any sensation that is short, sharp, and piercing, sometimes called pain, then this is the sensation to move away from, yeah? So really pay attention to what's happening in your body, and it's particularly important because I can't see what's happening for you. You need to really be listening to the cues that you're receiving from your body. And that generalized sensation, notice if you can move towards it rather than away from it. So making sure your eyes are closed, the muscles around the eyes are relaxed, the jaw is relaxed, and the belly is relaxed. And then releasing down towards the earth any amount. Notice your breath. How is your inhale? And how is your exhale? Just notice. You might notice as you slow down and take time to pay attention to sensations in the body and your breath, that this old monkey mind of ours starts to get a little crazy. Because when we slow down, we notice the mind a little bit more. And in these days, most of our minds are just running full steam ahead all the time. That's why we call it the monkey mind. So just notice in Yin Yoga, which is also a mindfulness practice, whether it's possible for you, rather than to follow the stories of the monkey mind as they arise, to bring your awareness back to your breath. Just a few more breaths here. Fully inhaling, fully exhaling. Notice how you feel. Beautiful. When you come out of the posture this time, take your time, but come down onto your belly and completely surrender yourself to the earth. You might like to lay your hands beside you, or you might like to bring them up and make them into a pillow. And just rest your whole body down to the earth. And as you surrender to the earth, just notice any sensations that are arising, especially on that stomach and spleen line that you've been activating. Notice how you feel. Nice. Just placing the hands now underneath the shoulders and pushing back up to the knees. The next posture is, well, shall we say, the favourite or not of my regular students. So we're going to come into dragon. All right. So dragon is really a posture for opening up the front of the body, these hip flexors that we don't often spend a lot of time with, which is why sometimes the sensations can be quite strong. So for this posture, this is where you need your blocks or your tin cans or your books or whatever it is, and I'll show you the setup. And just in case you haven't got blocks tonight, I will also give you an option for a no block option, yeah? Or a no tin can option. So I'm going to put quite a lot of pressure onto my knee. And so I use my blanket underneath my knee. But if your knee is completely fine on the mat, that's also fine, right? Completely up to you, listening to your body, remember? And I'm going to come forward with my other leg. And what I want to make sure when I've come forward with this leg is that my knee is not tracking forward of my toe. So if I had my knee back like this, this is not okay. Because we want to protect our knee, we want the knee to be behind the toe. So I can see my big toe really clearly. Then what I use my blocks for is to raise my upper body up. So I want my upper body to be quite upright, and the sensation for this posture is this back hip flexor here. So this leg. So I'm positioning this leg so that I can feel sensation in this hip flexor. If you haven't got blocks, if you've got blocks, you can go ahead and set yourself up now. But if you don't have blocks, then also possible to use your hands on the floor inside your leg. If you're very flexible, you might even come down onto the elbows, but my hip flexor is not that open. So you choose the position that serves you, either up on your blocks or down on the floor if you don't have them. But if you have blocks, I suggest that you use them this evening and really bringing that upper body into a nice, strong position. Yeah. When we come into this posture, I always come with you because otherwise there could be a tendency to leave you here too long. So I'm staying here in this posture with you. So find your dragon. Ooh. Close the eyes. Relax and release the jaw. Relax the belly. And feel your breath. Can you feel the expansion of your belly and maybe even noticing whether you're able to expand your breath right down into that hip flexor. And as you exhale, noticing if you can release, let go. There might be strong physical sensation arising. Can you allow it? How much can you allow yourself to feel? It's just sensation. Breathe. Now I'm going to transition you immediately to the next posture. So opening your eyes and looking towards the screen, I want you to push back and we're going to bring the knee that was back is going to come forward. So just pay attention. This leg is now coming behind me. And I'm bringing this leg forward. And I'm coming into, for those of you who are familiar with regular yoga asana, into what is known as pigeon. But in Yin Yoga, we call sleeping swan. So the foot can be almost parallel, making a right angle with the knee, or the heel can be almost in the groin. I'm going to turn around the other way so you can see a little better. So you choose the angle of this foot that suits you, but where you want to feel sensation is in the outer hip of the bent knee. So the sensation is arising in this outer hip here. Yeah? So this muscle here. Once you've found the position that suits you, might be interesting sensations arising, but that's okay. You can move the upper body around until you can feel the position where you feel even more sensation. And then when you've found that position, come on down. So for those of you who feel comfortable with that, just start to relax into that posture right now. But if for any reason you need a modification, keep watching the screen if you need a modification, because it's a really tight, strong sensation for some people's knees. So if you need a modification, coming down onto the back, bending the knee and dropping this ankle on top of that knee, and then I can grab through and grab my thigh or around my calf and pull that knee, that foot towards me so that I can equally feel the sensation in this outer hip. So find the version of the posture that serves you. For those of you who are already down in sleeping swan, noticing whether you can relax into the posture and allow the sensations to arise. Outer hip. Can you release the muscles of the outer hip and allow yourself to let go? So notice if there's anywhere in your body that you're holding on to tension. What's happening in your feet? What's happening in your knees? What's happening in the shoulders, the neck, and your head? Where can you release and surrender? Can you allow sensation to arise and move towards that sensation? Notice what happens when you exhale. And you release. Beautiful. Now when you're ready, just moving right down onto your belly again. So adjusting that foot from underneath you and coming down into that position of complete surrender. Hands underneath the face or down the side of the body. Whatever serves you, just to relax and surrender completely down to the earth. Notice any sensation that's arising for you. And especially right now in this position, having worked just one side of the body, noticing if you're experiencing any difference between the right side and the left side of the body. Just notice. No judgment, nothing right or wrong. Just notice. Paying attention to what's happening with your mind, not allowing that monkey mind to race off with story, and you bring your awareness back to your breath and to sensation in the body. Notice what you feel. Hands underneath the shoulders and pushing yourself back, and without having too much trepidation about the fact that we're about to do the same thing on the other side, setting yourself up, maybe even smiling, that would be okay, and setting yourself up for dragon on the other side. So I like to place my blanket on my back knee, and remember my front foot needs to track in front of my knee to protect that knee. And the point of sensation is this hip flexor here. Yeah? So this is where we want to feel the sensation. So you want to release as much as possible through the groin, allowing part of the body to really sink down towards the earth as you're pushing up with the upper body. Nice shoulders back, open heart center. Beautiful. So finding your dragon and settling into this posture. Eyes closed, jaw relaxed, belly relaxed. And we apply these principles of Yin Yoga. Stillness, time, not so much time in this posture, but time, and the disengagement of muscle. So notice where you can release. Scan your body. And allow yourself to release into the posture. How much can you feel? Breathe. Focus on your breath. Not allowing that monkey mind to wander off with story. Come back to your breath. Notice the sensation in the body and feel. Now we're going to transition directly to the next posture. So we're going to bring the back leg forward for sleeping swan. So take your time, positioning that back leg where you feel sensation in that outer hip. Now pay attention to the fact that your foot might need to be in a different position on this side. Don't just assume that you're going to feel the sensation in the same place. So take your time. Position first the knee and the foot, and then play a little bit around with the upper body. Notice where sensation is exaggerated for you when you move the upper body, and then allow yourself to come forward. Yin Yoga is all about allowing. How much can you allow yourself to feel? Spend all this time in the mind. In this embodiment practice, you want to get out of the mind and into the body. Notice how you feel. Relaxing the muscles around the eyes, relaxing the jaw. And especially releasing through that outer hip. Really coming into a place of surrender. Surrender to the sensation. Rather than fighting against it and trying to hold on. Can you release? Move towards the sensation. Allow the sensations to deepen and widen and open. Few more breaths here. In these last few breaths, can you allow yourself to release, let go? Now, when you're ready, taking your time and coming down onto your belly, coming into that place of surrender to the earth, straightening out both those legs, either making a pillow with your hands or running those arms down the side of the body. And really releasing all the way from the ankles up through the knees, through the thighs, and release those glutes. Release through the lower back. Surrender your heart center to the earth. If it would feel good for you to rock your hips from side to side a little bit while you're resting there on your belly, just rock your hips from side to side. That feels good for you. Pay attention to what your body needs. Now we're going to set up for saddle. So bringing those hands down underneath the shoulders, pushing yourself back up onto your knees. Now I'm going to give you a couple of modifications for saddle because it can be a bit of an interesting posture for some people's needs. Yeah. So for the traditional posture of saddle, this is how for the earth element, we want to bring the big toes to be touching and the knees to be out towards the side because we want to feel sensation on this inner part of the leg. So my big toes are touching and my knees are out towards the edge of my mat. I've put my blanket down just because it feels nice, not because I really need it. It just feels like a bit more comfortable. So I've got my bolster behind me. So if you've got pillows, you can use them behind you. And if you don't have enough, I will give you a modification to be on the belly rather than coming down onto the back. So I'm going to recline onto the bolster. And when I recline, I really want to be careful to protect my lower back. So I'm going to tilt my pubic bone towards my navel. So a real tilt of the pubic bone so that when I pour myself back onto the bolster, my lower back is protected. Then I'm going to bring my arms right out to the side. Move my blocks a little bit. Palms are facing up. So my whole front body is wide open. So if this feels an accessible posture for you, you come into this posture. But if this doesn't feel like an accessible posture for you, no judgment at all. This is the modification. So if that feels okay for you and you want to go into that posture, you do that now. But if that doesn't feel okay for you, then the alternative is to come down onto the belly to bend the knees. Bring the big toes into touch and the knees out to the side. Bring the forehead down to the mat and just pull those feet towards the butt. And the sensation is also of this opening of the front of the body. So it's just an upside down version of the saddle. So you choose whichever version of saddle works for you. And in this posture, you might feel some strong sensations across the whole front body. That's okay. What you want to move away from is any short, sharp or piercing sensations, yeah? So just pay attention to the cues your body is giving you. And if you need to shift to the modification on your belly, shift to the modification. Listen to your body. But whatever position that you're in, disengagement of muscle wherever possible. So how much can you release? Your heart center open, shoulders down away from the ears. Belly relaxed. And notice your breath. Where is your breath? How is it moving in your body? When we're exploring the earth element, we are exploring our relationship with neediness and contentment. How do we nurture ourselves? How do we feed ourselves? Both physically and in other ways, especially during this time. What are we doing to nurture our own being? I have one teacher, his name is Brent, who says to me that the most important thing that any of us can do in times like this is to do our own practice. To nurture ourselves with practices like this, like Yin Yoga. Only when we nurture ourselves are we any good for anything that we might do in an outward facing capacity at this time. Whether that's in a physical sense or online. How are we nurturing and feeding ourselves so that we can be the people that we need to be for everybody else at this moment? Allow yourself to feel the sensation. Just a couple more breaths here. Beautiful. Now unfold yourself from this posture and bring yourself down into Shavasana. So Shavasana or corpse pose, your final resting pose for the class. Now you can make yourself as comfortable as possible in your Shavasana. So if you want to put your bolster underneath your knees, or if you want to use your blanket to cover yourself so that you're nice and warm, whatever it is that enables you to feel completely relaxed and surrendered to the earth. Palms can be facing up and you can be wide open to the sky. Or if you feel like it, you can bring the hands onto the belly to really help you feel that sense of groundedness and connection. So slowly starting to move your fingers and your toes. Maybe your wrists and your ankles. Stretching out the body like you're waking up in the morning if that feels good for you. And then when you're ready, rolling over onto your right side. Keeping your eyes closed if you can, and taking a moment here on your side to reconnect with your breath. Noticing how your breath is moving in your body now. And then slowly bringing yourself up to a seated position. And you can sit cross-legged, you can sit with your legs out in front of you, doesn't matter. Sitting in a position where your spine is nice and long. Shoulders drop down away from the ears, belly relaxed. Hands can be anywhere that feel good for you, doesn't matter. Eyes closed just for a moment. Going to finish the class today by making 3 sounds of Om. If you want to join me, you can, or if you just want to listen, also fine. Completely up to you, whatever you feel comfortable with in the space that you're in right now. No stress, no pressure. If you want to make 3 sounds of Om with me, exhale the breath that you're on and inhale to begin. Inhale. Inhale. Bring your hands up to your heart center. Taking a moment to check in with how you feel. Bowing the head towards the heart. Acknowledging that sometimes the wisdom of the heart is greater than the wisdom of the head. Namaste.